All right, let me start off by saying I'm sorry for my voice. I will probably be clearing my throat, and I probably sound a little bit nasally or deeper than I usually do. I apologize. I am on the tail end of dealing with my fall allergies. So, yeah, bear with me. Anyway, so what you're seeing right here is me doing the prep work to get everything going to finish up Divine Retribution. Mostly here I'm sanding. That is because I'm going to be doing a lot of shaping and changing to it. You can see here I'm starting to mess with super glue. I'll get to why I'm doing that here in a sec. What I was doing with the sanding, and you'll see me go back to it every once in a while, just a little, in little places or little nooks and crannies, is to rough that area up really well so that it will take the glue better. Now, the reason why I'm using the glue is it is when you 3D print something, there are points where you kind of have to give and take between definition and durability. I did not want to sacrifice very much durability doing the top, what you can see of the Divine Retribution. So as it printed, there were all these weird gaps and fissures that the 3D printer, and those gaps and fissures are there because the 3D printer did not know how to resolve issues between areas that were thinner than like the shell settings I gave it. And the shell settings is basically the outer wall, like what you see, the top, bottom, and sides. So I made the shells thick so that it would be nice and durable, but the definition of the characters and the designs on this stuff, a lot of it is thinner than those tolerances, so it had issues resolving them, and so there were all these little gaps and stuff. If I'd have thought about it, I'd have taken a good picture up close so you could see all the little gaps and stuff that I'm talking about. But you can see how I'm kind of being really nitpicky about where I'm putting the glue at this point. But that is because there are all these little gaps and things where the printer didn't, like I said, it didn't know how to resolve it. So a lot of times it just wouldn't fill an area with plastic, and so you'd have a little piece of something sticking out, like piece of the character that's hanging out there in the middle of nowhere, and it would build up like the outside of it, but then it wouldn't fill the gap in between, and so there'd be a space there. And so what I'm doing right now is filling those little spaces with super glue. Then, I got behind myself. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is basically resurfacing the thing. So 3D printers, the way that they work, they extrude, and so there are all these very concise lines in it, and the Divine Retribution is supposed to be a stone disc, so that doesn't lend very well to something that looks all high-techy and nice, in straight lines and stuff like that. So I use the super glue to give me a flat surface, basically, so that as I painted, you wouldn't really see all of the lines through it, to give it a more natural look. So you might be wondering, why am I using super glue? Well, super glue, sticks to PLA really, really well. There is no concern whatsoever about it ever coming off without really, really trying hard. If you are a patron and you have seen the last update that I did for the portal gun, you will see how well super glue sticks together, because I had to break that piece apart to get to the wiring. So yeah, super glue and PLA love each other. So when I say I'm resurfacing it, it works really well. On top of the fact that it super glue sands really well. So it was my go-to. I thought about using something like, green stuff or, like a sandable putty. But with some of the small detail stuff and all of the, curves and things like that, and that putty is really, really thick, it can be hard to work with. I decided that super glue was the way to go. So what I'm doing right now is texturing the sides of all of the rings, because especially on the inner rings, there's so much definition, in the second and third ring in, that I didn't want to have to like over sand and then have like weird pits around it. So there's that. Then I go to the sanding. I didn't record it because I had to do it outside because Bondo smells terrible, but I Bondoed the outer edge because I didn't want to have to super glue that much surface. So Bondo works really well. You can see too that I put Bondo on the inside of the back. That was just as a precautionary thing. The arc had lots of like loose pieces of plastic from where the support material met the bottom of the Divine Retribution itself. And so there was all these little problems, and the quick way to solve them is to just seal them all in, so that way they're not coming loose and poking anybody or anything like that. So I just, the little bit of Bondo I had left when I did the rim is smeared on the inside there, so it's not a problem. There's no real surprises here. I'm just sanding down the Bondo, giving myself a nice smooth surface around the outside. When I'm done with that, I'll move on to the super glue. So you'll see, basically the entire sanding process. It's all pretty basic. You can see me here. I'm outside. I'm barefoot. I hate wearing shoes, so if I don't have to, I won't. And this video was done really, really fast, so I don't have palsy or anything. So like that vibrating you see is just because of the time elapsing, not because of like nerve issues or anything. The only reason I bring it up is because whenever I watch this, I can't help but notice my own feet. So apologies. So now I'm sanding, and you can see like I'll sand and then I'll run my finger over it, and that's to make sure that I'm getting a nice smooth surface. I'm not so concerned about it being like a continual or perfectly flat surface, because we being me and the commissioner of the Divine Retribution wanted like a natural, like handmade feel to it. So I'm basically going for smooth, but it's not perfectly level or flat or anything like that. So that way it's got a little bit of contour to it to make it feel like it was a hand-hewn piece of stone. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not too tough. Yeah, you don't see a whole lot of the dust from the super glue. I don't know why it doesn't show up on the camera, but it was very, very visible. I keep lifting it up to blow the dust out because there's loads of it there. I don't know, maybe it's just how it is. It doesn't show up on the camera very well. But so I got done sanding. You can see it's smooth, but it isn't perfectly flat. You can see that there's like, a little bit of an indentation, like a third of the way down from the face of it, and stuff. I think it turned out pretty well. So anyway, now I move on to painting.